Just tell me when.
Yes, so I'm recording now, and to all members in attendance, please, when you're speaking as part of the agenda, just a reminder to touch the push button. You don't need to touch and hold, just tap it and that green light will go on. And then when you're done speaking, tap that again and make sure the green light is off. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling this meeting to order at 9:14 a.m. on July 2023. My name is Fritz Friedman. I'm the Vice Chair of the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture Public Arts Committee. Commissioner Opstad is not here today because of a previous engagement. We're now going to do a quick roll call to confirm committee member attendance. When I call your name, please say present. Dr. Melinda Guillen, not here. Mr. Wayne Holton.
Present.
Commissioner Abe Hughes. Mr. Francisco Eme.
Present.
Commissioner Alessandra Moctezuma. Dr. Un Jung Park. Present. Commissioner Imani Robinson. Present. Dr. Denise Rogers. Ms. Jessica Berlanga Taylor. Thank you for your attendance, and your attendance has been noted. Let's go into non-agenda public comment. We will now move on. The public was invited to submit public comment on agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the Commission's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting in person and as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, staff will read aloud public comment submitted per city public comment protocol. I will call on Chuck to read aloud any non-agenda public comment or to call on any attendees who would like to provide comment.
Bear with me for just one second. Great. So thank you, Commissioner Friedman. Currently no virtual attendees nor physical attendees.
Thank you. Since there are no public art items from June's Commission meeting, I will keep my comments brief as we have a full agenda for today. Hope everyone is staying cool. The Public Arts Commission meeting minutes, I hope everyone's had the opportunity to review those minutes from the June 9 meeting. And if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as they are, please do so at this time. All right, who would like to acknowledge? Who said that? Okay. Who would like to second that? Okay. Thank you very much. We now have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Now we'll take a vote. I will call your name and please respond with a loud yay, nay, or abstain. Remember that you do not need to have been present at the June meeting to vote or discuss. Dr. Guillen is not here. Mr. Holton?
Yay.
Commissioner Hughes? Yay. Mr. Eme?
Yay.
Let's see, Commissioner Montezuma is not here. Dr. Un Jung Park? Commissioner Imani? Dr. Rogers? And Jessica Berlanga is not here. And my vote is yay. Thank you. Chuck, please read any comment for this item that was submitted in writing and call on any attendees who would like to provide comment for this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. No comment was provided for this item. Currently, none in attendance.
Thank you very much. So we're going to move to the next action point, which is the San Carlos Library, Branch Library Public Art Project. Chuck, are you going to do a presentation on that for us?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Friedman. Yes, good morning, everyone. So yes, our action item for today is the artist selection panelist for the San Carlos Library Public Art Project. So just as a reminder, the slide up right now is outlining the Public Art Committee's role in the Public Art Commissioning and project development process. We're currently at this step right now where we're making a recommendation on a Public Art Committee member to sit on that panel, as well as an arts and cultural professional for 2 of the 5 seats on that selection panel. Next slide, please. So the San Carlos Branch Library Public Art Project. This is a 2% for Art commission that will be included with the new San Carlos Branch Library, which is going to be replacing the current branch library, which is at the corner of Gulf Crest and Jackson Drives in the San Carlos neighborhood. For your reference, right near the trailhead for Coles Mountain. So the new library facility will be significantly larger than the previous library facility and significantly more modern, is being designed to better accommodate the needs of that particular community. So next slide, please, Laura. So the total contract amount for the design, fabrication, transportation, and oversight during installation of the public artwork at the new branch library is approximately $380,000. We will be issuing an RFQ for artists who are authorized to work in the United States. Artists apply by submitting qualifications, and a 5-member ad hoc selection panel will evaluate the applications and recommend 1 artist for the contract award. Construction is currently expected to be completed in 2026, but we'll keep you updated on that.
Chuck, I've got a quick question.
Sure.
On that $380,000 amount, that's keyed almost entirely into the overall budget for this building, and so it's 2% of that. Is that how this works?
Yeah, it's 2% of eligible costs for the overall construction project. Yes,
okay. So that's why some of these public projects are bigger than others, because this is one of the bigger ones, right? 380 is a pretty good amount.
Yeah, well, yes, relative to the more recent projects that this body has reviewed, this is relatively large. Yes.
Okay, so we should be able to attract some pretty decent talent here, right?
So it goes, it would seem. So yeah, we typically have a good response to library RFQs. So the recommendation today is to recommend to the commission approval of the following panelists for the San Carlos San Carlos Library Branch Public Art Project. 1 Public Art Committee member and 1 alternate Public Art Committee member. And Amy Sanchez Arteaga for the seat of the Visual Art and Design Professional with recommended alternatives and alternates in no particular order to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. And so Amy Sanchez Arteaga is an artist, writer, and educator, currently based between San Diego and Tijuana. She collaborates with her partner, Misael Diaz, an artist group called Cognate Collective. She's currently a lecturer of art history at San Diego State University, has exhibited extensively nationally and internationally as part of the Cognate Collective. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from anyone? Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. So I will now ask if there are any volunteers from Public Arts Committee members to fill 1 of the 5 selection panel seats for the San Carlos Branch Public Library project. And we will also need an alternate in the event that those who volunteer are unable to serve. So are there any volunteers to sit on that panel?
I would like to volunteer. I would like to volunteer.
Okay. So Mr. M.A. volunteers for that. Thank you. Would anyone want to volunteer as an alternate? Okay. Thank you. Okay. There we go, Dr. Park. Thank you for that. Let's thank you. And we would like to make a motion. Who would like to make a motion to advise the commission to recommend these panelists for the actual panel and for the alternate position, as well as Amy Sanchez Arteaga for the seat of the visual art design professional with recommended alternate in no particular order to serve on this panel. Who would like to make that motion? Abe?
Yep. So moved.
Okay. Could I have a second, please?
I second that.
All right. Commissioner Robinson.
So Fritz, just as we talked earlier, I need to recuse myself from this piece. My office is doing We're the Architects of Record for the project. So
Thank you.
I need to take myself out of the
Got
process.
it. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's take a vote. I will call your name and you will respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain for the slate that we just mentioned. Mr. Holden has excused himself. Commissioner Hughes.
Yay.
Yay. Mr. M.A.
Yay.
Dr. Park.
Yay.
Commissioner Robinson.
Yay.
Dr. Rogers.
Yay.
And my vote is a yay. Thank you. Chuck, please read any public comment for this item that was submitted in writing and call on any attendees who would like to provide comment for this very item.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. No comments submitted in writing and currently none in attendance.
Thank you. So our next matter of business is the preliminary artwork idea for Hidden Trails Park by Trevor Emery. Laura, would you like to provide an overview for the public art process, please?
I just have a quick question on this previous item. I see there's a listing of other members, right? To be from the public, I guess it is, to be part of the committee. Is that what that is?
Or those are potential alternates in the event that the recommended arts and cultural professional is unable to sit on the panel.
Arts and culture committee professional or arts and culture who?
Or just general arts and culture professionals.
Oh, I see. So this is Amy Sanchez Arteaga's alternate.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, I see. So they've all at some point, said, I'm willing to do this kind of stuff for the city.
Collecting interest.
I see. Do we do a designate now for an alternate or not?
No, because
You just
typically we'll go with the one that's recommended.
Oh, and she's
It will
available
only
and
be
all.
if she's got a conflict. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
And have we pre-checked with her to see if there's a conflict?
no, that's what we'll do next because we don't reach out typically until after we confirm that you guys are on supporting that effort.
Does it make sense for us to consider an alternate in case she can't make it? That way we wouldn't have to bring it back and then vote
You already
again.
have. By your recommendation, you've recommended
Anyone
that-
from
that
this list?
staff has the capability to be able to identify somebody in the case that she's not able to serve.
And how will that process work?
We typically identify somebody that has connections to or relationships within those communities that also is a visual art professional.
So if we have input into that, shall we give it to you separately?
You're welcome to, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. I would be happy to. Okay, so right now you're seeing kind of this diagram outlining the artwork development process. So we're on the third step from the bottom. So we've procured an artist, or two artists actually, but an artist for this project. The artist will research and engage the public and then create a preliminary artwork idea, which will be showed to you today. So your role today is to provide feedback on the preliminary idea, and then the artist will use that feedback to create a schematic artwork proposal. And then after that, we'll have another community engagement event, and then you'll have another chance to see eventually a final proposal. So we're in the early stages. So Trevor, would you like to go to the podium? Is the mic working?
These are both green.
Trevor is our artist. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
His name is Trevor
So-
Amory.
Yes. So, okay. So Trevor Amory was born in New York, and he lives and works in San Diego as an artist, educator, designer, and fabricator. In his practice, he mostly works within sculpture and installation, and that attempt to embody narratives of discovery, distance, love, etc., through found, sourced, and created objects. So with that brief bio, I would like to turn it over to Trevor to present. So this project, though, in question is at the Hidden Trails Neighborhood Park in Otay Mesa. So that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee for meeting with us and giving us the opportunity to provide feedback on the idea. So starting off, one thing I want to talk about with this was the process in which I work and the ideas. This project was something that when I visited this site and considered a lot, it is a smaller park that is in the backyard of this kind of circular community that many homes look down upon. And so it was very important to me to think about how my artwork is going to engage that site and the role that it will play within this community with a strong goal to avoid plop art that the community has no relationship to. So for that, I thought it would be important to maybe make multiple artworks that are embedded throughout the park, as opposed to creating one large artwork that asserts an aesthetic dominance over the space. And so in that plan, it's a little unconventional in public art as it goes, but it's something that I wanted to create activations throughout the park versus a passive viewership of one larger sculpture. So for this project, that was what was listed on the previous slide, but looking at the space, this is just a ground view of the space and visiting the site and considering it. Again, you can see the homes on the embankment hillside looking down over this space. Laura, you can go to the next slide, please. And in my research, I met with the community during a Meet the Artist event at the Nestor Branch Library, met with multiple families. And during that Meet the Artist event, I had a packet of my artwork to go through and share with the community so they had an understanding of who I am as an artist, my aesthetics, and how I create my process. In that, the overarching theme and response that I got back was a consideration and a desire for child engagement. They really wanted things that kids could play on, things could engage, children could engage with. They asked if I could make a sculpture like the one that I currently have on view at the library, which is very sweet. And they were interested in, like many of my artworks, if it could incorporate nature. So that was a big thing that they were interested in, and the experience for the neighborhood children. So going to the next slide, as we've talked about the site in the hillside, the park is very much going to be a backyard for this neighborhood, which is mostly comprised of single family homes, many with children. And so that kind of high touch experience was really important in driving my decision making on the project. The site specificity that I was considering would be what the material is made out of and thinking about the geology of the region. So I've used stones and faux stones that I create that have been drawn inspiration from the region, such as sandstone. But for this project, I'll be looking at that as well as granite and pegmatite, which are the three most common stones to the region of San Diego and specifically where this park is, to consider. And really, at the end of the day, wanting this to feel like a project that the community can take ownership of. Next slide, please. The first project or activation is Lava Field. That I've met with Spurlock and who are the design architects, landscape architects for the project, to create this project, which is essentially a lava field comprised of stones on a safe ground cover that Spurlock is going to work with me to design so that children can play lava, where they can jump from one stone or one object to the other, and considering all the ADA requirements within this process to make sure that this is safe, but also something that inspires engagement. Next slide. Stone Library is inspired by book libraries, free libraries in neighborhoods, where this is something where it's a boulder that has these niches carved out of it where children can put stones or objects they find in these niches. And so kind of like a sharing library for others to take away later or leave. So that was the inspiration for this. The Listener, the next one, is a stone sculpture that has been anthropomorphized, sitting on a bench in the park, who is there for you. Someone to listen, someone to keep you company if you're walking around the park and want to just relax a little bit. The Timekeepers is another project that is inspired by Aspen Eyes, and which are, I'll wrap this up. I know my 5 minutes is coming to a conclusion. Where trees drop their lower branches as they grow. So these would be freestanding aluminum water jet cut sculptures that would be in the space to create these kind of trees kind of coming up as witnesses to the park experiences. And lastly, an animal drawing contest where I'll work with the community to host animal drawing contest. I will collect those drawings and convert those to digital files to then create vinyl cuts to include throughout the park. So they will be on the sculptures, they will be on architectural elements throughout the park. And then on the inaugural day, we'll host a patch event where any child or a community member that finds all of the drawings then will receive a custom patch for that inauguration day. But that way, the community's artwork themselves is physically in this space and something they can grow with, and maybe their children will see when they're older. So that was, again, one thing that was important to me, was embedding the community directly into the space. And that is my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Trevor. I think I find it very clever myself. I really rather enjoyed it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to make comments or ask Trevor any questions we might have. Right? Imani.
Can you explain the Listener with the tree trunks? Can you explain that a little more? You said as it grows. So how can you just give me a little more detail?
Oh, the Listener, the Timekeepers, or?
I'm sorry, the Timekeepers. Pardon me.
No, it's okay. So the Timekeepers are freestanding structures that will probably be about 8 feet tall. I'm still working with Spurlock to design that. In all honesty, I had designed that to work with one of their shade structures. And then in our meeting with them, they were really excited about these and wanted these to be standalone. So that was a conversation that I responded to develop that and have these be these almost tree trunks that go up and then have the kind of illustration carved out of it if you're looking out of that. So you can see through them, they cast light through them, but then they kind of create maybe just this little mini forest. So probably about 4 or 5 of them freestanding in a space around the park perimeter.
So all these different ideas, and you did state that you wanted to do different things, but are you making a decision on basically one thing, or you're pretty much incorporating all of them? Beautiful.
Yes. So that was, and to your point, I want there to be many activations throughout the park space. So I'm working with Spurlock Design to seat these in specific high traffic areas around the park. Thank you.
I have a question, and that is with regards to the maintenance of the installation over time. I mean, there are a lot of disparate sort of elements in this, and some that are requiring more attention than others. So that's going to impact not just the workflow, but budget. How do you plan to incorporate those considerations in the project?
Yes, much of the material is built with hardy materials such as natural stone, as well as powder-coated aluminum. There's also some projects or processes that may use epoxy-based materials that are the same materials that the zoos use when they make their faux rock structures that are outside and have been there for decades. So with that consideration, it is material that is all meant to be outside and withstand the elements. But then also, and Laura, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was also a separate budget for maintenance that does not impact my budget for construction.
Good.
Yes. So as you guys are probably very familiar with, we have ordinary maintenance and extraordinary maintenance. So ordinary maintenance is just kind of keeping a general cleanliness, I guess, in the park, or keeping things upkept. And then for, say something gets tagged or something gets chipped or someone cuts something or breaks something, then that's considered extraordinary maintenance. And that's something that our department would handle with a professional art installer or preparator or installer, or you know what I mean.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So any other questions or comments? Yes.
Go ahead, please.
No. Dr. Park.
Question for Trevor, but also
You got to press your button.
question for Trevor, but also people working in the logistics of the park. Since many of these works are intended to directly engage with children, I'm wondering if there is a certification process for juvenile products, right? Like JPMA or Junior Products Manufacturing Associations that either have to be sought out or, get their certification that it's safe for children.
So these are all things that we have started to discuss and consider. For example, with the lava field, some of those objects in the drawing look possibly sharp. So things like that, just considering changing kind of maybe shapes with that in mind for the safety. And then it kind of depends on kind of the team and kind of how the artwork ends up being classified, but there is a playground in this project, and that's kind of a whole separate kind of project. So there might be elements that inform these artworks, like maybe a soft kind of like bouncy surface below some of them, but these things will come up naturally. But we are considering kind of especially safety because of the climbability of everything. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
And I can also
Yes.
point to Bird Park in San Diego already has some small rocks coming out of a hard ground material. It's not hard ground, but I think that's what they call it. Or squishy.
DG?
No, it's not DG.
Oh, yeah,
It's like the playground flooring material. So it is something that has already been incorporated into San Diego City Parks. If that assuages any woes around that project itself.
Commissioner Hughes.
I would just, I'm sorry, I would just really quickly, I would just add that in the development of the design of these projects, we work really closely with our partner departments, Parks and Rec, Public Works, ADA compliance, as well as the design architects for the park. And any of these concerns are sort of closely vetted and incorporated back into the design. So just to give you a little overview of the workflow for the internal the design process.
Perfect. Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to commend you. I think that's really cool that you're taking out, I would say a multidisciplinary approach. You're looking at a bunch of different things. I'm not sure what kind of budget we had to work with on this particular one. It'd be nice to have that info whenever we present these projects. But at first, my observation was that it was very children oriented. Mm-hmm. So I assumed that the demographics of this area here, that there's a lot of children. And my thinking is that they're not going to be children forever, and what we've got to make sure is that the works and the art we put in there lasts a literal lifetime, right? As people progress in their age, as they mature. And there's also not just children in these communities. There's older people, there's people of all kinds of backgrounds and stages of life. So the thing I did notice is that perhaps the bench for thinking, the rock bench is one where, older people can maybe sit and contemplate a little bit. And then there's also the aspen, which I think is also more contemplative. But I think if you can bring that out and somehow in a description of the artwork, that this is artwork for all ages, I think that would bring more people into the community and get people more like super excited that it's not just an extension of a playground, that this is really about art for all. And I think that's the one thing we want to always make sure we do here. Right.
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you for that feedback. I'll definitely incorporate that into the presentation in the future.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for the presentation.
Thank you for your time.
I really enjoyed it. Laura, can you provide an overview for the next step that we're to take on this project?
Yes, so thank you all for your feedback. Trevor will take that feedback and consider it in the development of his conceptual or schematic artwork proposal. And then you guys will see this again. You have 2 opportunities to see his schematic proposal at the public engagement event, but also at another future public art committee meeting. So stay tuned for dates for all of that.
Great, thank you. The next point of business is a discussion of the preliminary artwork idea for Southwest Park by Belize Aristei. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. Okay, so this project is in the exact same stage as the previous project. It is also in Otay Mesa. So here's the steps. Again, we're on the 3rd step from below. The artist creates a preliminary idea. And then once again, you guys will be giving feedback on the preliminary idea. So here's an image of Southwest Park. And yeah, so it's in the Otay Mesa region, a different area of Otay Mesa. So it's really exciting that we're activating Otay Mesa kind of with 2 different projects. So Belize is here to present today. She's a Turkish-American artist who lives and works in San Diego and Ensenada, Mexico. Her practice is inspired by her Turkish heritage and her experience living in the border region. In her practice, she predominantly works in ceramics, but also with other materials, including glass, resin, and even video art. So with that, Belize, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My project name is Deseos, Wishes, and I would like to give you a little bit intro about my artwork, myself as well, so you can relate my inspiration of my project. So as Laura mentioned, I was born in Turkey, and in 2003, I came to United States and Mexico to live and work. And over the years, I developed myself as an artist very much in the context of the borders that I cross. As a border artist, living on both sides and married to a Mexican American, I have experienced Mexican culture, and I have found surprising connections to the Turkish culture. One of them being the Middle Eastern motifs in textile and ceramics that I have found their way to colonial Mexico via Moorish Spanish. So my inspiration is going to be the 5th slide. Yes, thank you. So I have always been actually fascinated with the widespread of the use of votive candles known as veladoras. And these traditional objects of devotion can be seen in roadside shrines and other celebrations. So veladoras are also used in Hispanic botanica, which were herbal dispensaries on both sides of the border. And here they function in these samples of the photographs as expressions of wishing something for one's life. And the slide 9, please. Next. Yes. So this is my project proposal. For Southwest Park, I would like to propose a monumental Veladora sculpture, essentially richly decorated cylinder that will evoke the format of the familiar objects while also taking a new context with scale. And it's sort of like a border pop art sculpture. And the sculpture will keep the traditional format of a front with a framed image and a back design. And I wanted to surprise the community, younger and elder members, by creating a monumental sculpture inspired from the traditional Veladora jars that will help them to create a dialogue with their past and present. So for the design proposal, I have a version showing the two different material combinations, and I work with the theme of Tree of Life. Yes, next, thank you. And for the front of the sculpture, I would like to create a design that exhibits the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is a universal symbol that carries multiple meanings, including connectivity, orientation, and fertility. It's also a metaphor to the branching of families and nature. And on the right side design, which is my own design, I use a cypress tree, a Mediterranean symbol for the Tree of Life. So the design will have native plants, flowers, and animals from Otay Mesa region to represent the nature and other symbols. Next, please. So the surface treatment possibilities for the front facade of the work is going to be ceramic mural. And I'm going to use different techniques like hand-carved, low relief, glazed and hand-painted underglaze and overglaze designs. Next, please. And for the back image, I would like to also explain where my inspiration comes from. So I'm exploring the idea of developing motifs inspired by traditional Mexican textiles. And over the years, I have been impressed by the craft traditions of native Otomi peoples. Interestingly, there are parallels in the symbolism in Otomi crafts and in ancient Turkish crafts. So the flowers can represent nature and fertility, and animals like hummingbird or phoenix, lizard can also be symbols for spirits, migration, and good fortune. Next slide, please. So this will be the back view of the sculpture. The blue color areas are laser cut stainless steel with glass panels. The next one, please. Yes, and the sculpture will carry a lighting system inside, so it will lit at night for the night vision. And here is the general view of the park, and I marked with a star where I'm planning to place the artwork. And I visualize the Veladora sculpture becoming a pinpoint destination that can bring the members of the community together. And I would like to choose a central location where the sculpture can be viewed from many angles. Next, please. And this is the detailed view of the area 2. It's going to be placed in a triangular area where the walk path is going around. Next, please. Thank you. And I would like to also talk about the structure and the materials. The target height of the sculpture is now 16 feet tall and 5 feet 11 in diameter. And for the fabrication of the sculpture, I have consulted architects and fabricators already. And considering the size of the piece, the use of combination of concrete wall on the front facade where the ceramic mural will be placed, and a stainless steel back part as the main materials was my first choice. And we will need to wait to detailed budget to make sure it is within available funds. Yes, and that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Billy. It's a beautiful piece, I must say. It's very stunning. I can't wait to see what it looks like at night when it's lit like a candle. Will the candle light flicker? Like
I'm still searching of my options to play with the night vision. I'm thinking of flickering or maybe a very soft light, maybe diffused as well from the bottom of the piece to the top. So I have to still detail those details.
That's beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any comments or questions from the committee? Yes.
Well, first of all, I like it. It's beautiful. I love the idea of a candle in the middle of the park. I've been following your work. I know that this is an evolution of previous works that you've been doing for years.
Yes.
I think I am wondering, I love the Otomi theme and inspiration. And I love that how you are combining with your own background, Turkish. I'm wondering if there is a possibility to consider the local native community.
Yes.
You know, somehow in the design. I mean, I feel that this design is very Mexican, and particularly for this community, for the Otomi community.
Yes.
And I think I would love to see, around San Diego, more inspiration also from the native Kumeyaay, or even, other native communities in Baja that do have, symbolism, do have love for animals, imagery. And I would like to see that represented a little bit more somehow. If you could take that into consideration, that would be great.
Yes, exactly. That's why actually I'm planning to add the regional plants and animals into the designs, as well as on the front facade of the mural. I'm not designed yet my composition. The sample that I'm right now showing you is a already made piece by me that I've been working as an artist around these mythologic stories and the connections between the cultures that I live in, like Mr. Emme mentioned. So yes, it will be interesting to think about also the natives, Kumeyaay, or the other natives that has been in the region, and add their stories into the piece. Yes, thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, and the imagery, because there is beautiful, also not really textiles, but other art,
art,
crafts that could be included. Thank you.
Thank you for a suggestion. Thank you.
Commissioner Robinson.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple of questions. Well, first comment, I love I'm a big proponent of symbolism because I believe it tells stories, and the way you connected the stories there with the environment and also your own history. And I think it's a beautiful piece. It's a focal point of the park, which leads to my first question. I saw in the diagram, there were trees on all sides. Is that going to obstruct the view? You mentioned you wanted people to come and gather.
Oh, yes,
Will
I
they
can
be able
explain.
to see the...
Yes, so in this piece, I used a Photoshop background just to represent how it will be in the park environment. The triangular walkway is the one. Yes,
it was the other. It seems to be hidden.
The detail one. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly. No, we are requesting from Sparlac that inside the triangle you see 2 trees are right now located, but they are not going to be there. So we are planning to place the piece in the center of this meeting point where you enter from the Y, from the top part of the design, it comes in from the neighborhood. So the piece will welcome the neighborhood directly, the neighbors directly, and then it goes into Y, and it goes to the other side of the park. So around the trees, we are requesting in that, not around, excuse me, in that area that specifically I'm planning to place, we are requesting to remove those 2 trees, yes.
And then I have a second question about the materials. You mentioned glass and ceramic.
Yes.
And someone brought up maintenance earlier. And I'm concerned about someone coming and maybe carving into the material or somehow damaging the glass. Is it going to be protected in some way to prevent that from happening?
Yes. So we have a few ideas. We are planning to place the artwork in the middle of this place on a mulch ground instead of cutting the food from the general viewers to come in all the way too close with a cement. Instead of putting a cement floor, the mulch is going to a little bit help with that. And so the placement of the walkways going around, it will keep a frame around the piece as well, so people can go around the piece. Is a walk path that they can follow. But other than that, if someone goes and try to do anything, yes, there is of course a possibility that a vandalism can happen to any outdoor artwork, or they can not scratch but come and spray paint, right? So in that case, the materials that I am using will have a special coating that can take off and clean off and then put again freshly, and it will protect over and over, the time, vandalism that is gonna be spray paint. Yeah, if someone can go and try to scratch, there is gonna be another coating, and that will protect the stainless steel structure. And on the front part where I am going to fabricate the ceramic mural, as well as it will have the same coating, and the ceramic will be high fired, is not going to be a low fired ceramic mural. So that will have a very dense body that will work against any, physical abrasion attacks or anything. So yes, these are going to be included into my fabrication process.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think it's beautiful. And I would love to see a little bit of the contrast between like the size of it and of the person next to it. And also yes, your tree, like the tree of life, that's really beautiful. And just trying to see, how are you incorporating? Do you mean just simply a picture on one side than the other, or looking at that, is it actually open, interactive?
Yes, so to be able to keep this sculpture as a candle effect and light that I can play with the idea of the light, I had to use different materials that are translucent as well, not just solid. Like the ceramic mural is a solid, structure on the piece. And if I go all around, we won't able to have the light the light detail that I want to use. So the stainless steel structure that is going all around with the laser cut patterns, I am going to probably adapt the whole design for the final proposal. So like I said, I'm planning to do more research and add all those elements from the region into the design. So the front and the back, the whole piece will have a very different decorative design by the final proposal. So this is just an idea where my inspirations, for you to see where my inspirations are coming from, and how I'm putting the symbols and designs and the different cultural, stories together, and just to make sense for, yes, for the piece to be visually understandable.
Just one more thing, because I know just dealing with the communities and public and families.
Yes.
You know, they really like it to be like interactive, not just simply a piece of art. So
yes.
Just looking at it as being a candle and then basically it being wishes or prayers.
Yes.
You know, do you plan like any type of seating or any, you know, like sacred spaces or some type of, you know,
yes, sitting around can be of course an option. We can request, or I can add. Other than that, my first idea actually was this structure. For the design of the structure was an open one, that you can go in and sit inside and everything. Exactly. That's the sky and everything, very spiritual aspect that yes, I wanted to also do it. Yes. So, but because it goes for the public, and the park will be open at night. And I was concerned that will become a little space for, you know, yes. So I had to eliminate that idea. And I really, really wanted to do this structure that has open both sides, that you can go in and actually enjoy, not just with the sky, but the patterns, that the reflections, and being inside as a capsule that you can feel, you know, differently and in a way. So, but, and I started to think over and over and over. I said, no, this is not going to be for a public art, but maybe in the future.
Thank you. I have one more comment.
Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful piece of art. I love the scale. A few observations. I'm not sure people are going to understand this as a votive or a candle unless there's some kind of a wick on top.
Yes.
I grew up on the border, and we grew up with votive candles in my Mexican and Native heritage, and they're very mystical.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that, you know, you typically pray in front of these candles, and you have a altar, right? Or a niche. And so they have a really powerful connotation. Yes. Right, they can. So I'm with Imani a little bit on the idea that this could be a central point for contemplation, but there need to be some benches around. And I think people will respect this piece if it's put into that kind of a light where you can go there, you can meditate, yes. Pray, perhaps, if you'd like. And I think that could end up becoming really powerful, especially to this community, which is largely, you know, Latino.
The demographics, right? Exactly. And that's where I started to.
Right. Yes. And so just a cautionary note from an aesthetic perspective, I think you have to be really mindful, maybe, and purposeful with the ceramic front piece.
Yes.
That there's some kind of integration with the culture of our area and our region. Not that it's a sin to bring stuff from, you know, your Mediterranean background at all into this, but to me, it looks like photoshopped. It doesn't look like they're integrated, the two pieces. I think the candle in the back is beautiful. It's spectacular. I'm less convinced that the front speaks to what's going, you know, to the overall, yes. Like a votive, right?
Yeah.
So my wish and desire.
This is going to be different in the final proposal. This is just to, give you the idea.
My deseo, wish and desire is that there's more integration. So inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beliz, for.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yes, I also wanted to choose for the universal, for everybody to, to have that. Thank you.
Dr. Park.
Thank you. I'm so delighted that you were selected for this project. And I could say that because I wasn't in the selection committee.
Well done.
There's a reason why you were selected, is because your work, you know, is so distinct. I think that, you know, you don't have to I don't have to tell you this, but I just really hope that you don't shy away from the Turkish elements that make your art, because, you know, I mean, being a historian, you could, you know, use the Moorish elements in Spanish architecture as a bridge, and that incorporation of the Platique method and all of that. And so I love those elements in it, and that's why you're you.
Yes,
and that's why you were selected. And so I just wanted to encourage that too.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Park. Belize, thank you so much for the presentation. We so appreciate the beautiful piece.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Laura, next steps.
Okay, so the next steps are that Belize will take your feedback and develop her schematic proposal. And if you attended the Meet the Artist event, both Trevor and Belize were there. So we're gonna try to do another kind of collaborative meet or artist open house event is what we usually call it. So look out for details for that. It's like a big bang for your buck in quotes, because it's free. So thank you.
Chuck, any public comments?
No public comments submitted in writing, still none in attendance.
Thank you. Christine, do you want to provide the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Friedman. So just briefly, I recognize we're at time, but I did want to share with you all that if you haven't seen the news, San Diego has been identified as a finalist for Bloomberg Philanthropies Public Art Challenge. This is a very prestigious grant competition that is open nationally to public art agencies across the country. And we're one of 17 that has been identified as a finalist. And our proposed project is called To Draw a Circle on the Earth with Collaborative Arts Collective Post Commodity and implementation partners, the Institute of Contemporary Art San Diego and the Museum of Us. If we will know in October if we receive the money, we're asking for $1 million. They do require a match, so not $1 million match, but just being able to demonstrate that we have some skin in the game, which we have, and in the terms of the Public Art Fund in lieu fees to help support the project. And this project is based on the premise of creating, so the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge is all temporary. So these are temporary projects across the country. They give you 2 years to complete the project. If we're, and our proposed project is really to elevate and support arts and cultural programming of Kumeyaay and Indigenous communities here in our region. So it will, and really the concept overall is to really articulate Indigenous worldviews and contexts through co-creation, co-determination of a programming process, and will involve a kind of a central ephemeral installation, satellite installations, and public programming over a year-long durational period, and will really create a performance score that happens with a call and response from different sites. So we're really excited to be in the running. We will know in, again, October. So there are 150 cities across the country that applied. So again, we're one of 17, so super excited. So fingers crossed, and we'll be bringing more information as we get closer to knowing if we're going to be receiving those funds.
One selection.
My understanding is they said up to 10 of the 17 will be selected. So we have a good chance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
So anyway, we're working on the Part 2 application now, and we'll be and interviewing with them. We're required to interview, and it's a very official process. So stay tuned for more information. And then secondly, I just want to leave you with a big reminder about Creative City. So I'm sure at this point, hopefully all of you know about Creative City. That is the city's first overall citywide cultural planning process. Next week is another big push for in-person engagement with communities across the city. So we have, it's 5 or 6 pop-ups in person at different libraries, recreation centers across the city. We have a virtual forum happening on Monday evening. So if you feel like it, you're welcome to pop into that as well. And then just for your reference, on that website, the SD Creative City website, when you go to the Get Involved page, There are a number of industry and sector specific discussions happening next week. Many of them might be of interest to you all. You are welcome, as is anybody, because it is publicly on our website, to come to those. I'll just point out there is one about artist housing and cultural spaces on Friday. Also on next Friday, there's going to be one about the visual art industry with a focus on for-profit industry here in San Diego. And then later that day, we'll be doing another individual artist convening to hear feedback and insights from individual artists in our region. So please share the news. We'll be sending some more information specifically to the Public Art Committee later today with flyers and information that you can share with your colleagues, friends, peers, family, neighbors, everybody. So anyway, that is my report for today.
Thank you so much for the report.
So one thing to add perhaps is that we've also been selected as the World Design Capital, right? And the city has agreed to fund the project up to the level of $3 million. Both Fritz and myself sit on the advisory board. And I'd just like to ask this group here, who are all super involved in the art community in town, to just be aware of it. There's going to be lots of opportunities to express yourselves within the design and artistic community, and lots of news and other opportunities that will surface. But please spread the word. It's an exciting way to uplift our aspirational, I would say, desire to be considered a world-class city in terms of design.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Yes.
Christine, the forums, are they at the Contemporary Art Museum, or where are they actually taking place, like the public ones?
So the public one, there's a virtual forum via Zoom. And then there are a number of pop-up events, which are more of the in-person public events. So all of that is listed on that website. That, for example, we'll be having one at the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library. We'll be having one at the World Beat Cultural Center. There'll be one up in Mira Mesa at the Recreation Center up there, Rancho Peñasquitos Library, and Bread and Salt. So Casa Familiar is part of the cultural planning group's team, and they're helping to facilitate one at Bread and Salt as well as the San Ysidro Library. So we are all over the place.
What is the like the cutoff time? Is it end of August, or for like different pop-up events of just other community groups?
So our pop-up events are really focused next week. However, in addition to all those in-person events and virtual opportunities and discussion groups, we're really going to be doing a push in August. People can do it now, but we're going to be encouraging use of what's a DIY toolkit that we have for community conversations, for people to have their own conversations, share their insights. In addition, we do have a public survey that is now available, which we'll be pushing harder into August as well. And those opportunities are available through August 31st.
And is this the survey, or is this just more information? This just takes us to the website.
This will take you to the SD Creative City website, Get Involved page. And at that page is the survey, all the DIY toolkits, everything you need to get engaged in the process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports from anyone? Nothing? All right, thank you. Chuck, do you want to read any public comments or anything else before you end the meetings?
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. No comments submitted in writing, none in attendance.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today. Our next Public Arts Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for September 8th. Have a great August, hydrate, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you at 10:07. Well, what time is it? 20 past. Yeah, this clock is not exactly right. 10:22 a.m. Thank you. How good.
If you parked in the Evans Jones Parkade, you can get